In my last video, I talked about what it was like tag teaming with John Cena, working with John Cena, and we talked right up to the end of that. And now I'm going to talk about what it was like working with CM Punk when CM Punk came and joined the Nexus. The story with John Cena tied up at TLC in a chairs match where Wade Barrett was literally buried by 23 chairs. Wade was buried in more ways than one. After that, we didn't know where we were going or what was next for us. We just knew that Wade was out of the group, and we had been led to believe that eventually I was going to be taking over the Nexus and I would be leading the group. But we didn't know exactly when that was going to happen. It seemed like it made sense that it would happen right after we ousted Wade from the group. I mean, that would follow, but we found out there were other plans. On January 3rd, 2010, CM Punk is here. He ousts Barrett from the group officially and then starts initiations. It was a lot to wrap my head around because now CM Punk is in our group and our leader. But hold on. I thought I was supposed to be the leader of Nexus, and this is where we were going. Like, the fans were behind this too. This was good TV. They'd been building to this, honestly, since the finale of NXT by having Wade beat me and I'd be runner-up. He was 1 and 2. That eventually, we would have some kind of a face-off. But then now, all of a sudden, CM Punk is inserted into this. This is completely out of left field. And at that time, when I knew of Punk, he didn't necessarily have the best opinion of me. I mean, he just didn't like me or like the idea of me for some reason, stemming all the way back to NXT. Actually, probably stemming back from when I'm Punk from I Love New York too. And, people were calling in during his radio interview thinking he was me. I touched on that in the earlier video. So now we have these initiations. I think I had to go slap Big Show and antagonize him and then have him just destroy me. And then I remember for Wyndham or Husky Harris, we had to whip him with belts or something wild. And we were really supposed to do it. They really wanted us to go hard. And man, I remember not wanting to do it. I felt bad or really, really, just trying to protect him. Anyway, this was the new Nexus regime under CM Punk. And so then what was funny is Slater and Gabriel, they were like, no, we're not for it. And storyline wise, they just left and went to join Wade in the Corre. So now they're out of it. So now, okay, I see how things are kind of being set up where there's the Nexus, or rather we're the new Nexus. And then now they're building an alternate Nexus in the Corre. It would seem eventually these two factions are going to meet up, especially because Wade is leading one, I'm leading the other. Eventually we should, culminate in some Survivor Series match or something like that. But that never really happened. So the creative was never explained to us, why Punk was coming in, what the future plans were, if we were going to have any involvement with the Corre or not. It just was, you guys are now CM Punk's new faction. Essentially, we're the new Straight Edge Society. But that was it. They really did not give us any direction. And after that, we were just taking it one day at a time. The part that I enjoyed about this time was this is the first time I got to spend any time with CM Punk. And so during this time, we would ride together. And by ride together, I mean that McGilicutty and I would rent a car and we would drive CM Punk. This is before Punk had his bus. So we, would do these road loops with Punk, and I generally drove, sometimes McGilicutty, but it was usually me. And we would just talk in the car. And I remember Punk asking me just to tell him my story, and which was cool. And he said, he didn't really know me before, and he just knows, what he's seen on NXT, but how did I get into wrestling and all that? And I remember telling him my whole story. For some reason, I feel like we were doing a loop in Minnesota during this time. For some reason, I kind of remember that. But anyway, we're in the car and I'm explaining to him how, I was on I Love New York too. I always wanted to get into wrestling. And then a gentleman by the name of Rick Bassman called me, asked me if I wanted to be on Hulk Hogan's reality show. But then the spot got filled and he got me the audition. Anyway, Punk knew who Bassman was. So I go through this whole story. And after it, Punk is like, yeah, you look like a Bassman guy. Yeah, that makes sense. And I said, oh, what does that mean? He's like, oh, yeah, he always just picks the body guys. Like Cena was a Bassman guy, but like, I don't know. He had this negative perception of Bassman guys. So I tell him my whole story. I think we're going to connect over this. It makes him not like me even further. Like, because obviously then McGilicutty, Joe Hennig tells his story. His dad's Mr. Perfect, right? Of course, Punk is all over this. Punk is a mark for his dad. And Joe's story is great, man. Joe's story is great. And he always wanted to be a wrestler and came up working hard. Punk respected that. So I was like, oh, man. Joe's story and mine back to back. Punk is clearly going to favorite Joe's story, as he should. Punk and I, we did get along. And eventually, I guess I kind of started growing on him in some way. But what I liked seeing up close was just watching him work and like how like he carried himself and his character, and it was seeing his confidence, like his self-confidence, because Punk is another guy that he's got a bit of the it factor too. Like it's just something about him like you want to watch. He knows how to stand out, but it comes down to his confidence. Like he really believes it and really believes his character, as you have to be successful in this business, just as I believe mine and believe me. You can't tell me anybody is better than me. You can't tell my character that. You can't tell me that. And, like Punk. Hey, Punk thinks he's the most attractive man there is. Now, I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he isn't. What I'm saying is, you got to have delusional confidence. Punk has delusional confidence. I do too. I think I'm the best at everything. But you have to have delusional confidence, and then at some point it's not delusion anymore. And in your world, it's real. Like in Punk's world, yeah, he's the chick magnet. He's the guy in his world. In my world, I am too. Punk may think he's Brad Pitt in his world or whatever. That's fine and well. That's cute over there, buddy. But when you come into my world, I'm Denzel. On January 17th, 2011, my buddy Barry, better known as Mason Ryan, joined the group. And this was awesome. Man, Mason Ryan, yo, that's a big dude. And Barry, I'm Barry Griffith. Sorry, Mason Ryan. I'm going to keep calling him Barry because I know him as, I'm going to try to stick to his name, Mason Ryan. If you haven't seen him, look him up. He was a powerhouse. And he's a good dude. He's big into work. He looked like another version of Batista. Like he really did. In fact, I think that kind of harmed him a little bit because the Office would say that he looked too much like Batista. They used to have him dye his hair. They made him, grow a beard. They were trying to do all kinds of different things just to differentiate him. He didn't look exactly like Batista, but I see a resemblance. But then again, hey, Batista is a future Hall of Famer. There's worse people you could look like. You know what I mean? Worse people to be confused with. But it was awesome just having him as part of the group. And honestly, that's another guy I feel like they didn't do enough with. Barry, he was an awesome talent, a rare talent, and they should have done more with him. Shout out to Barry, by the way. Last I heard, he's had a job at Cirque du Soleil for quite some time now. This guy is a super talented performer, so I'm glad he's doing well. But hey, Barry, if you're listening to this, love to have you on the show, my man. I'm going to reach out to you. Hey, there he is. There's Barry right. Yo, dude, still in great shape. Man, that was him. Military press. By January 2011, we're kind of starting to figure out what the creative is going to be, and that we're building towards Punk versus Orton at WrestleMania, which is not going to be for a world title, probably. And man, it kind of, to put things in perspective, everything has happened so fast. We go from debuting with John Cena, the top star, and we're the biggest faction, the biggest storyline going. Then you fast forward that, our group, we finally get rid of Wade Barrett. I'm about to take over. But then CM Punk, another huge superstar, is inserted in. We're done with Cena, but now we're just part of Punk's storyline. We're like his backups, like his group. Like we don't have our own storyline because this is actually just Punk's storyline with Randy. Oh, and Punk has the new Nexus, backing him up. But anyway, we were in the Royal Rumble that year as new Nexus, working for CM Punk, and that was awesome. So I'm gonna release a whole video discussing the Royal Rumble and what that was like, because that was so much fun. So make sure you look out for that. So around this time, we had this match with John Cena and Randy Orton, and we were the new Nexus, and it was McGilicutty and Husky, and I was involved as well. And allegedly, Husky poked John Cena in the eye. Now, I discussed this in my video and what it was like to work with John Cena. Go check it out. I told the whole story in detail. But anyway, following that, Husky was sent back to FCW, and it was kind of tough because, what does this mean going forward? And in storyline wise, he was punted by Randy Orton. So it was an injury, but he was sent out. And then systematically, the next week, I think they got rid of Mason Ryan, got rid of McGilicutty all by a punt. And then finally myself, we all got punted back to FCW. So McGilicutty and I, we had to report to FCW. He was still living in Tampa, as was Wyndham, but I had moved out to Chicago. Like, as soon as I got my main roster contract, I was gone. I had family in Chicago. Hey, Tampa was great. I loved it. But like, if I don't have to be here, I'm out. So now they flew me to Tampa to train at FCW. So McGilicutty and I were there for 2 weeks or so. And they explained to us that we were going to be a tag team going forward, but that Wyndham was just going to be stuck down here at FCW. I don't know. And they're going to figure something else out for him. So obviously, like, we didn't feel good about that. Like, Wyndham's our friend, and we were nervous. But I remember they had McGilicutty and I do practice matches, and we did practice matches with these two guys who they said were up-and-comers, and it was Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And that was my first time meeting both of them. And the thing of it is, I remember this practice match so well. And I was still very green, and Norman Smiley was in there like coaching it. And I remember I got in and I was first in with Seth, and I called a spot. Now, here's the thing. I didn't know Seth, but like I knew his reputation. I knew he was great. And I didn't know if he knew how green I was or not. But anyway, I got in there and like, it was cool because like I was impressing Norman by calling a spot, and I called the International, which everybody should know. And it was simple. And so we did it, and it was perfect. And Norman was like, whoa. I said like, hey, you called that spot? I said, yeah. He, number one, he was impressed, but he's like, hey, well, you got to be careful. You don't call a spot. If somebody can't do it. And I was like, I knew who he was. And he's like, yeah, that's smart then, because you obviously called something you knew you could do. Honestly, I mean, Seth is one of the greatest workers there is. It's not like I'm calling something difficult here. But for me, hey, I'm just proud I was able to call a spot, and we did it. But anyway, clearly that was big to me because it stuck out. And then working with Roman was cool too, man. And I remember like he was giving me advice like during it too. And it was just little things, but it was cool, man. Like both of those guys were cool. I'm so happy for their success. And it was dope because like in that moment, like in hindsight, looking back, that was kind of the Nexus passing a torch to them in a way. Like we knew like, what they were building with them. And then of course they got Ambrose as well. So yeah, it was a really, really cool moment. Most people don't know about it. I've never told it before. All right. So after McGilicutty and I became a tag team, we kept the name New Nexus. And then for months, it seemed like our opponents were Vladimir, Kozlov, and Santino Marella. Two of my absolutely most favorite characters in WWE, and just guys like in general. We had so much fun with them. Santino is a friend. Santino is one of the funniest guys like there is. Like I think he misses Corre. As great as he was in wrestling, he should be like a comedian or something. He like for real, he is just hilarious and great timing, wit. But also, what people don't know about Santino, he's a legitimate badass. Santino Marella is one of the toughest guys on the roster. Seriously, in a real life fight or something. He's like, I'm pretty sure he's he was on the Canadian Olympic team for judo. Like he's legit. You do not want to get in a fight with this guy. I'm telling you. But he's the nicest guy and he's funny, and his character, he would pop me in the ring so much. I would try not to laugh, but like he was just so funny, man. And he's fun. He was fun to work with. We had a really, really good time. And then Kozlov, Oleg, shout out to him too. Kozlov was awesome too, because he's really funny. And like, he's this guy who's got this really intimidating look, but was so nice. And he was there longer than I was, but he was still a little bit greener than me. And I think part of it was the language barrier stuff, but like he was great. He was great. And like he had a reputation of kind of being stiff sometimes. Like he used to do this thing called a push kick. Oh my gosh. And he would, if you weren't prepared to take that right, boy, he could kick your head off. And it was supposed to hit you in the chest though, and like push you across the ring. It was dope if you sold it right. But anyway, I didn't mind it. Like I liked working with him, and he would lay stuff in, and I would do it too. Like, it was cool. But anyway, McGilicutty and I, man, we had a great time working with those two guys. I took the Cobra, I don't know how many times. And it's one of those things where, like, it's hard to take serious, but you have to take it serious. If you're going to take it serious, have fun with it. So, take the Cobra and come up with a creative sell or something like that. But man, I really had a good time working with those guys. So shout out to Santino, shout out to Kozlov. Man, I hope you guys are doing well. All right. So after McGilicutty and I teamed for a while, we started building up pretty good chemistry. We developed some tag team moves. Our name was still New Nexus, but we became a pretty decent tag team. And then on May 23rd, 2011, we got to win the tag titles, and we beat Big Show and Kane. This was huge. Now, this was my second time winning the tag team championships, but this time meant more to me because finally I felt like I earned this. Like McGilicutty and I had earned this with our work, and we were being chosen to represent WWE as the tag team champions. So as the top of the tag division, because at this time it was just those titles. And so that was for Raw and SmackDown. They didn't have separate titles. So we essentially were the undisputed tag team champions. And so McGilicutty and I worked both shows. We worked Raw and SmackDown every week to defend the titles. And it was great, man. And I remember, when we won and just, winning from Big Show and Kane. And then I knew to get the titles afterwards from the whole debacle with John Cena. Go check out the video again. I told the whole story. You'll know what I'm talking about. But I got Kane's title. I know that. And so McGilicutty got Big Show's. Like we went at the same time, and they handed them to us, live event titles. So it was cool. But we had that taken care of. Made sure we put those in our bag and took them with us to the next town. Yeah, but it just felt really cool. And one of the coolest moments was my son was young at the time. And he was like 2.5, he was about to be 3. But anyway, came home and I surprised him. I showed him the title. And I remember I came home from the Loop and I had my family there, and we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and I literally drove from the airport to meet him. My mom was there and she had little David there, and I came in with the title, and the whole place went crazy because also this is Rockford, Illinois, where I'm from. This is the local Buffalo Wild Wings. Everybody knew who I was. They didn't know I was coming, but I walk in with the title and like, oh! And so my family was going crazy. My son, I have the best picture. I got to send it to you to put in here of him, but like his reaction. But that was one of the proudest moments. That was one of the best moments in my career, was winning that and then being able to come back and celebrate with my family, but to see the look on my son's face. That's what it's all about. Those are like, as a dad too, like that's why I do this. So like, it was, like a moment like that. All right, I got what I needed out of wrestling. Like that's something I always carry with me, which was really, really cool. And in my mind at that time, like I'm happy. Like I finally feel like I earned this championship. But in my mind, it felt like this is just the first of many. Like this is, all right, the tag team championship. I've got it. I can mark that off my list. And then I wanted to start focusing on a singles run, which that happened. So as soon as McGilicutty and I lost the titles, we started developing our singles characters. And we still were teamed up from time to time, but that's when I really put the focus onto my singles career. But before we get into that, during the time McGilicutty and I were tag champs, we were riding with CM Punk, we were driving him, and I remember he was renegotiating his contract. Like, his contract was getting ready to end. And I remember him asking us, like, one time, hey, think I should get a bus? And it was cool. Like, this stuck out to me because he didn't talk about numbers or anything he was offered, but I remember him just talking about the bus. I'm like, whoa, so this is when you're at this level, because he didn't have a bus before. And now he was at the level where he was going to get a bus. Because before this, the only people who had buses were Cena, Orton. I'm pretty sure Big Show did, but like there weren't a whole lot. So now Punk was going to get a bus. Like this was a big deal. So I just remember him talking to us about that, and it was cool. And just hearing where he was like in his career and seeing that he was getting ready to be elevated and go to an even higher level that he already was at. So during that time, I mean, obviously he was weighing his options on whether or not he wanted to stay with WWE or whether he wanted to leave and go somewhere else. And he didn't really talk about his feelings about it too much. Like it was hard to read, even writing with him. Like, is he serious? Is he really going to leave? And part of me felt like, yeah, he was, because just knowing who he was. And the thing of it is, he did talk about this, is that he was really good with his money. And I remember him saying that with like the amount of money he's already earned from wrestling. He said something to the effect of, if he couldn't live on that for the rest of his life, like, you know, that would be wild. Like, that's not the kind of person he is, because he's I don't know, but from what I understand, he's kind of a miser. Doesn't really spend, you know, on frivolous things, and he's kind of cheap, from what I hear. He used to wear the same dirty Cubs hat for years. He would brag about it. So yeah, he saves. He saves. So in that respect, like he definitely had been thinking about it, at least, and I could see him doing it. So yeah, we didn't know if he was gonna leave or if he was going to stay. I mean, obviously hearing him talk about the bus, that was encouraging that, you know, if he got what he wanted, he probably would stay. But then I didn't know what he was asking for. I didn't know if it was realistic or if it was, you know, way too much WWE would ever go for. Like, I had no idea. I had no frame of reference for that. But this all made the pipe bomb feel that much more real, because when that happened, he worked me. I bought it, because just in knowing Punk, but this is what I mean. It's like what I was saying about like his confidence is delusional confidence. Phil Brooks believes he's CM Punk. I don't even know if Phil Brooks, you know, exists. It's CM. That guy is CM Punk. Like, if you talk to him, he is CM Punk. He really believes he's CM Punk. He really does. And but also that's one of the things I love about him most. Is like he's always his character. So when he went out and delivered the pipe bomb promo, it was real to the fans because it was real to us. It was real to me. I'm riding with the guy. I think I drove him to the building that day, and I didn't know he was going to do this. And then, like, you know, just hearing him talk about this, he was talking about real stuff that he'd mentioned in the car, like things that he complained privately about to me and McGilicutty. Now he's saying this out there on a live mic. I remember McGilicutty and I looking at each other like, yo, can you believe he said that? And then to the point where we're both workers, so we're like, okay, I'm sure the office knows about some of this. Like, was some of this included in the promo, or did they just literally let him go out there and riff? Which I kind of feel like they did. And at what point is he departing from what they expected? At what point is part of this? And I couldn't tell. And it got to the point where, like, he even talked about WWE's Be a Star campaign, the anti-bullying campaign. Like, he mentioned that, and then got cut off. And hey, that was a real thing, because at that time, I was like spearheading that. They booked me on everything for Be a Star and the anti-bullying campaign. And interestingly enough, the only direction I was ever given when I was leading those rallies is that I could not talk about bullying that happened to me at WWE. I could not talk about bullying within the company, which is wild, because like, I had so many good stories. And Natalia, she was doing it with me. Her too. Like we were like, well, if we can't talk about how we're being bullied at work, what are we going to talk about? Because this is what we go through every day. But that was wild to me. And he mentioned that in the promo, and that's when they cut his mic off. So like that was believable to me, especially knowing, hey, they're touchy about that. They do not want you to talk about that. So I believed it. I believed it so much so that when I saw Punk, I was waiting for him backstage. And when he came back in the backstage, I went up to him right away. First, I told him, man, that promo was amazing. But I remember I went up and I said, hey, Punk, man, dapped him up. It's been real, man. If I don't see you guys, well, I just want you to know, it's been real. And he laughed and said something. Like, he put his arm around me. He was like, oh, Tunga, you'll see me again. It's like, I don't know. I still thought he was working me. I was like, I don't know what that means. I'm going to see you again in New Japan or like on TV, or I'm going to see you again here, or because we both live in Chicago. Like, I don't know what that meant. But either way, I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. But he worked me, man. He worked me. And then I want to share this. This was cool because our relationship started off where Punk didn't have the best opinion of me, didn't like me so much. But I remember he shared this with me that he goes, hey, and this was that same time after the pipe bomb promo, because I thought I was saying bye to him. He goes, by the way, he's like, Otunga, look, I don't know what's going to happen with you going forward. This kind of made me nervous though. He started like this. He goes, I don't know what's going to happen with you going forward, but because I want you to know that I went to bat for you. And I told them, I told the writers, I told the office, hey, make up your mind with Otunga. The kid's good. If you want to do something with him, do it. Stop wasting time. Go all in. And if you're not, let him go. I remember I was like, oh, Punk, hey, don't give him ultimatums. But I mean, I know what you mean. Thank you. And he said something. He said that Shawn Michaels had done something similar for him. I was like, oh, that's dope. I never heard that story. That's dope. But so he said he was paying it forward for me. And he told them, hey, if you're going to do something with Otunga, go ahead and do it. And I thank him for that, because also that was dope. He clearly did not have to do that for me. That showed that, I'd earned his respect, and we were cool. And so to this day, I'm cool with CM Punk, man. Like we were cool. So he eventually disliked me less, or he liked me enough to do that, which was awesome. And then I did start my singles run. So he may have had a hand in that. And then also, like, Punk and I were cool from then on, and he did some cool stuff for me also, where we both lived in Chicago, and I guess in his new contract, he was allowed to take the private jet, the WWE jet, certain times. He had a number of trips with it or whatever, and I can't remember where we were, if we were on the West Coast or whatever, but he wanted to take the private jet back to Chicago after a show, and, he just walked up to me backstage and was like, hey, Otunga, you want to ride on the jet with me tonight and get home early? Yes. He's like, all right, cool. Yeah, we'll leave together after the show. And we did. He did not have to do this. Like, this was awesome. And I remember too, like, we slept the whole flight home. And I remember just thinking, I was like, yo, I've come so far because this guy did not like me. And now he invited me like on his jet. And like that just was cool. It was like, all right, he respects me, as a peer. And that's, I mean, in this business, that's all you can ask for, is the respect of your peers. And so, man, that's one thing that stood out. So shout out to you, CM Punk. Hey, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you going to bat for me. Man, that pipe bomb was one of the greatest promos of all time. I still remember the lessons you taught us. You taught me, and riding with you. And yeah, man, I just want to give you your flowers and say thanks for that, and all my respect to you. So that was my time with CM Punk, and learned a lot. Grateful for it. Very, very cool. Shout out to you, Punk. So on my next video, I'm going to pick it up with my singles run that started at the end of 2011. So stay tuned.